everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the On Cloudsurfer and how it held up for 300 miles of training. Now I was looking for a different type of shoe to add to my rotation, one specifically built for speed, shorter distances and speed. And On touts this shoe as having training shoe comfort, meeting racing flat speed. It's the ultimate ride for running on the road. So it seemed like a pretty good match for what I was looking for. On is a Swiss-based company. This is a neutral running shoe with a normal foot width. It has a 6mm drop, so the heel 6mm higher here than the toe box. I wear a size 12, and this weighed in at a whopping 13.2 ounces, pretty heavy. And it cost $150, somewhat on the expensive side. And just as an aside, I'd seen these symbols and this logo for this shoe. I didn't even know how to pronounce it. Then they brought the box out for it. Now what that is how the Swiss spell on. The fit is what I like far and away the most about this shoe. I have narrow feet, but this seemed to have a nice firm grip, even with minimal padding. That felt just as good at mile 1 as it did at mile 300. For the padding, take a closer look. There's just a ridge of padding that goes about 2/3 down the heel here, then it comes around up to the eyelets. The forefoot and midfoot is just a thin layer of padding throughout. The tongue has zero padding, none. And as far as the insoles, again, almost no cushioning, very little padding. Yet somehow all that works together. I had no pressure points, and again, it felt very comfortable just putting them on and wearing them. One of the other things I really liked about the shoe is that it breathed very well. It's a double mesh, obviously wider in the front than in the rear. Another great thing about this shoe, it seemed to shed water and stay dry, during wet conditions more than any other shoe I've had. So now I will complain some about these shoelaces. It's like they stole the supply of tooth floss from an ogre and turned them into shoelaces. They're thin, slick, unwaxed floss, but all that being said, while they didn't come untied as often as I thought they would when I would cinch them up, it still did happen more often than I would have liked. So that brings us to the ride. On's unique design are these pods, okay, or they're clouds, which is supposed to provide the cushioning and the reflectivity. So cushion your landing and then help propel you forward. So in other words, this is where the rubber meets the road. But for me, in this case, this is where your bare foot slaps the pavement. I was really shocked about how little cushioning I had running with these things. But I had seen other reviews and people talking about them. They said it takes a while to break these shoes in. And obviously folks liked them, so I thought I would persevere. And I will say, when I finally got to about mile 80, I got to a point where I think I broke them in, or my feet kind of got used to this less cushioning. And they held out all right until about mile 250, where then all of a sudden I noticed a fairly kind of quick decline again. If you look at the curve for the cushioning on these shoes, I've never had one that had a bell curve shape before. Now in general, there's a balance between cushioning and reflectivity. So if you get more cushion, less reflectivity, and vice versa. But somehow this Cloudsurfer seems to defy that design tenet. I found zero reflectivities in these shoes. Didn't matter the surface, didn't matter the speed I was trying to run. I just never felt anything really propelling me forward on these. So suffice it to say, my overall experience with the On Cloudsurfer was pretty much a disaster. But I did have to question what was it about them that made them so lousy for me, when there's obviously a group of people out there, a whole contingent of folks who really like it. And I've come to the conclusion that if you're a heel striker, these shoes just are not for you. See, first of all, the pods here, they don't extend to the back of the shoe. So you're going to be landing a little bit differently to start. Second, you've only got these 2 points of contact, right? So as you imagine, all the force is just going to be on those 2 points of contact, where normally it'd be spread out on a whole pad, right? And so that's going to make it feel like a lot more impact. You're going to feel a lot more impact when you're running, and consequently, you're going to really wear out the back sides of these. You can see on this one, I've already started to have a small tear in this pod, and that's probably came about 200 miles, and you can see it's worn down clear, and I really don't have as much wear on the top of these. So after 300 miles, these shoes are done. Actually, they probably were done closer to 250 miles. And one of the things about the grip, I was not going to talk about grips on shoes anymore because I wasn't able to discern differences between them. But with this shoe, and I'm sure it has to do with those concentrated points of contact, if it's wet out and you're running across a painted crosswalk, for instance, you got to be careful. I slipped 2 times, and then also I run a lot on a hard packed gravel path, and I run it often on different shoe types. I've never slipped. I slipped twice again with these shoes. So, something else just to keep in mind. Now, one positive thing I can go back and say about them is the look of these shoes. I did like them. I thought they looked sleek, innovative, even with their hieroglyphic on symbols blazing throughout. So, and actually, they look still pretty clean after the 300 miles. So to summarize, I definitely cannot recommend this shoe, particularly if you're a heel striker. But even if you're not a heel striker and you buy it for speed, I don't know how the shoe, 13.2 ounces, that's like a whole ounce heavier than any of the other shoes I've worn. How that can help you on the speed. On speed shoes, I would always think should be lighter. But and for $150, you're not going to get much more than 300 miles out of this, if that. So up next, we're going to be putting the ASICS Cumulus to the test. I've actually got quite a few miles on that one already since those On shoes. I never wore them for more than one 10-mile run, one 9-mile run, and all the rest were 7 miles or less. So I've got a lot of miles already on the ASICS Cumulus, so we'll be posting that one soon. If you hit the subscribe button, the little bell will pop up. And if you click that bell, you get a notification anytime that we post a video. So thanks very much for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Any comments, put it below. It's great to hear other people's opinions. It'd be very interesting, folks who like the shoe and why they like the shoe. So we appreciate it, and keep racing the nation.